Hi, my name is Chloe Flack. I am a sophomore majoring in electrical engineering. This semester, I research ecological momentary assessment of food intake behavior under Dr. Edward Sazonov in the electrical and computer engineering department. Maybe you've been stressed out for a test and realize that you've been snacking, or you just broke up with someone and you're drowning your sorrows in ice cream. With these examples, it seems clear that mood affects eating, but what effect does mood have on eating behavior, and to what extent? That's what my research is trying to answer. Our goal is to determine a correlation between mood and eating, and this could be used to explain overeating tendencies and other unhealthy eating habits. By better understanding these correlations, one could change their eating habits to improve their health. We are using a method called ecological momentary assessment to collect information. So with this, subjects are prompted to fill out a survey in real time in their own environment about their current condition, and this is done repeatedly to get multiple sample points over a period of time. So this sounds like a mouthful, but breaking it down, ecological is just that it's done in the subject's own environment. Momentary is that it's about the subject's current condition, how they feel in that moment, and assessment is that we are trying to assess or determine something. So the standard way of collecting data from a subject is to have them go into a lab, answer questions that ask them to reflect back months or even years about how they felt about different things. Ecological momentary assessment reduces bias because we're asking only about the current condition. So users don't have to try to recall what happened in the past. Normally, this is done by using a phone app to ask the user survey questions. And this is done at predefined intervals set in the study. Although another example of this would be having subjects write answering diary prompts and all at predefined times. For our example, we are going to prompt the user to fill out a survey whenever we detect that the user is eating. To detect if the user is eating, we are using the AIM, or Automatic Ingestion Monitor. This is a device that can clip onto a pair of glasses and is made up of three main sensors. It has a strain sensor, accelerometer, and a camera. The strain sensor and accelerometer are located by the temporalis muscle, which is right by your temple, and that muscle is used whenever you open or close your mouth. So with some calculations, the device can determine if the user is chewing. Once chewing is detected, the camera will then take pictures of what is in front of the subject. And using deep learning to determine if there is food in front of the subject helps improve the accuracy, because if the user is chewing and there's food in front of the subject, then they're most likely eating. Once we detect if the user is eating, we ask them to fill out a survey. My main role was to write the survey and to work on the user interface. So for the survey, I compiled a literary review looking at different surveys that have been used relating to mood and eating, and taking the main ideas from these surveys, because these surveys were defined to be used in the standard way and not for ecological momentary assessment. I took the ideas and I wrote my own survey. And there are three main parts to that: food, mood, and reason for eating. So with the food section, we ask if they did eat. If they didn't eat, then we move on to the mood section. If they did eat, then we ask them what did they eat. And then if they had a snack, what kind of snack, and a meal, what kind of meal. This is just to gather more information about what the user ate. Then we move on to the mood section, where we ask 6 questions about how much they feel different moods, rating on a sliding scale ranging from not at all to extremely. So with this, the emotions that we chose were stressed, bored, tired, sad, angry, and happy. These emotions were chosen to cover the widest spectrum of feelings while having a limited number of questions, because users are going to be asked to complete this survey every time they eat. So then we move on to reason for eating. So these reasons came from the previous studies and all that were done with some modifications. So like feelings of bodily hunger and feelings of hunger were consolidated into because I'm hungry. Once this survey is validated, we are going to remove the other option. Right now, it's there to make sure that we cover all of the reasons that someone may decide to eat. Right now, the subject is only going to choose one answer about the main reason that they decided to eat, instead of sliding scales and all, one, to limit the questions, and two, because we're asking every time they eat, we don't need, there's normally one main reason. So instead of just multiple reasons because they might have eaten multiple things. So to display the survey, we're using an application called PILR, and this makes it easy to show the survey to the user and also analyze the results afterwards. What we are trying to do right now is connect the device using Bluetooth to PILR with Bluetooth, so that when the device detects eating, we can then trigger the PILR survey so the user can see that and complete it. So our next steps are to finish connecting the device to the application, and this is, well, then we are going to move on to validating the survey, making sure that all of the questions are clear and reliable, and then we are going to design the study, figuring out what our subject pool is going to be, how long they're going to wear the device, and all of that. And with that, do you guys have any questions?
How does the aim distinguish between chewing and talking?
So the temporalis muscle is used mostly when you clench. So if you put your hand up to your temple, then you can feel it when you clench your mouth versus when you're just opening and closing. Chewing is also a lot more rhythmic. So we're talking, there's a lot more modification. So that's the main reason, that's how the device can use calculations to distinguish between the two.
On slide 7, if the user did not eat, why would they have to answer more questions?
So originally we were just going to end the survey, but the thing is we don't want the user just to say, no, I haven't eaten, even if they did just eat, because then that will skew the data, and they might do that just because it's easier, it's quicker. So we're going to use it as another way to collect additional information and motivate the user to choose what answer is best instead of what answer is easier.
Have you considered prompting the user to complete the survey both before and after eating to compare like the results of how like the food may have changed their mood?
So we have kind of thought about that a little bit. The main reason why we aren't doing that is because then the user would have to remember before to fill out the survey, and that might skew the results, but that would be an interesting thing to consider for future surveys.
Coy, could you describe the steps that go into validating the survey?
Sure. So with validating the survey, the first step is to have an expert in the field look over it. So we started with having behavioral scientists, Dr. Thomas and Dr. Goldstein. We had a call with them actually on Wednesday to talk about how the survey is laid out currently and any changes. That's what prompted the change with not eating. And then after that, we have a pilot study and just have some people go through the survey a little bit and get their feedback. And then after that, we can move on to actually having the survey and using it in a study.